In the late 1880s and early 1890s, southern British Columbia was a remote, rugged, and sparsely settled area. A major route into this vast land was from Revelstoke in the north, where the Canadian Pacific Railway crossed the Columbia River. Distances were great, and overland trails arduous and difficult. Steamboats operating on the major lakes and rivers offered an easier and more reliable alternative to packing overland. 27 miles south of Revelstoke, the Columbia River widens into two long lakes, the Upper and Lower Arrow Lakes. Combined, they stretch south for 140 miles. For part of the year, when the water levels permitted, the Columbia River was navigable from the Upper Arrow Lake to Revelstoke. A whirlpool just north of town, the Big Eddy, prevented navigation further north. The first sternwheeler on the Arrow Lakes was the 49, built in 1865. During construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway in the 1880s, a second steamboat, the Alpha, carried supplies to Revelstoke for railway construction. J. Fred Hume, William Cowan, and Captain Robert Sanderson formed the Columbia Transportation Company and operated the Marion on the Columbia River for a short period of time. The sternwheeler Lytton was built at Revelstoke in 1889. The Lytton was not large by later standards, measuring 131 feet long by 25 feet 6 inches in the beam. With steam up, but no cargo aboard, she drew only 19 inches of water. With a cargo of 60 tons, as she might carry on a typical voyage on the Columbia, she still drew only 2 feet 6 inches forward and 2 feet 2 inches amidships. Such a shallow draft made her a versatile vessel for navigating in the shallows of the Columbia River. The Lytton's first trip down the Columbia River was in July of 1890. The newly completed vessel was loaded with 65 tons of track-building supplies, including rails, bolts, and fish plates. These were for the construction of the Columbia and Kootenay Railway, being built between Spruce Landing at the southern end of the Lower Arrow Lake and Nelson on the Kootenay Lake to the east. Nelson, like most towns in the south, owed its existence to the discovery of rich ore deposits. Low water levels on the Columbia River prevented the operating of steamwheelers from Revelstoke year-round. So the Canadian Pacific Railway built a branch line from Revelstoke 27 miles south to Arrowhead at the upper end of Upper Arrow Lake, which was completed in 1895. Sternwheelers served a vital lifeline to the otherwise isolated communities and mines south of Revelstoke. But railway and road construction eventually undermined the viability of the service. In the 1930s and 1940s, the boats were gradually phased out of service.